हरे कृष्णा। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा. So welcome back again. So today we'll be completing this course, and tomorrow we will take question and answer session. So today is the 9th day of part 4 of this course, Rediscovering Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. I really would like to congratulate all of you for coping with such a long course. As I mentioned before, I didn't intend it to be such a long course. I started it out as a overview course only, but somehow I got carried away. So I apologize for extending it for so long. But anyway, we are almost there. So please hang on for another hour or so, and then we'll just be left with the question and answer session. So we have been discussing from the second wave of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami. The second wave of the eastern section of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami concerning Sadhana Bhakti. And in Sadhana Bhakti we have been discussing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, and within that we discussed the Angas, and after that we discussed what were the primary and secondary benefits of performing the limbs of Bhakti. The primary limbs, the primary benefit is one gets Rati or Krishna Prema. The secondary limbs are Akama, Sarvakama, Va, Moksha Kama, Udaradihi. Like that, all other, anything that one may desire, Bhakti can give. But the primary limb is, primary benefit is to get Krishna Prema. And the second theme that we discussed the other day was that how Varnashram duties are not limbs of Bhakti. This also we discussed in detail. I will not get into it. And then we also saw that how Jnana and Vairagya are not limbs of Bhakti. Jnana Vairagyayor Bhakti Praveshaya Upayogita Ishat Pratamam Eveti Na Angatvam Uchitam Tayoho. Just for entering Bhakti, little bit of Jnana and Vairagya may be necessary, but even that is not dry Jnana and dry Vairagya. The problem with Jnana and Vairagya is both make the heart hard, and this is opposite to the effect of Bhakti. Bhakti makes the heart soft. Chitta masranya krid asau bhava uchyate. And at the stage of bhava, it's soft like butter. And at the stage of prema, it is literally liquid. The heart is completely fluid. It is completely melted, molten heart. But Jnana and Vairagya, when practiced for one's own pleasure, actually it is not very favorable for Bhakti. And but rather the goals of Jnana and Vairagya can be achieved by Bhakti alone. This was the next theme that we saw yesterday. Yat karmabir yat tapasa Jnana Vairagya taschayat yogena dana dharmena shreyobir itarairapi sarvam madbhakti yogena madbhakta labate anjasa swarga apavarga maddama katanchid yadivanchati. So Krishna mentions that whatever can be achieved by karma, jnana, yoga, etc., everything can be achieved by practice of Bhakti alone. And rather, one may say that if Vairagya is not practiced, then how one can move from one stage of Bhakti to the other stage if material desires are troubling that person. Rupa Goswami says, Ruchim udvahatas tasya janasya bhajane harehe vishayeshu garishtopi ragaha prayo viliyate. He says that if a person has little taste for Bhakti, because if one has taste, then he will perform Bhakti. By that practice of Bhakti, even the strongest of strong material attraction can be gradually removed. So therefore, without resorting to intense practice of some vairagya, ultimately we have to keep the heart soft. That is the key for bhakti. How much vairagya we practice is a byproduct of that. But one should not focus on vairagya, because sometimes severe vairagya can be seen in a jnani who has absolutely no bhakti. So vairagya is not a singular independent symptom of one's progress in bhakti. Rather, it could be in some cases when practiced independently could make the heart severely hard, and that person may be most unqualified for practicing bhakti. So therefore, one should be very clear in this understanding. So then, rather, and this is also mentioned that not only vairagya but even jnana is attained by practice of bhakti. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah Janetyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayad Ahaitukam. There is a very wonderful story concerning this. I will tell two stories. I will share two stories from the life of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Once, the great, one of the most popular politicians, but also was known to be an extremely pious person, Mr. Madan Mohan Malviya. So he visited the mutt of Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur in Calcutta, and he had some very important questions regarding devotional service that he wanted to know. So he approached Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, but Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was little busy with other things. So he said, "Look, one of my disciples will be in kitchen, so you can ask him, he will answer this question." So Madan Mohan Malviya, being a very wonderful gentleman, he agreed. He went to the kitchen, being such a great person. And the disciple who was working in the kitchen did not really know who Madan Mohan Malviya was. And that was a particular festival day. Everyone was busy with the festival, so he had to wash all the vessels and all that. So he requested Madan Mohan Malviya that I will answer your questions, but it will take me some time. If you are in a hurry, then you help me washing the vessels. So we will both do it together fast, and once it is done, then we can quickly take care of your questions. Madan Mohan Malviya was such a nice gentleman. He agreed, and he helped wash the vessels, which were which were used for serving the devotees, cooking for the devotees, and for making prasadam for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Once he washed it, at the end of it, the disciple asked, "Thank you very much. So now you tell me, how can I serve you? What are the questions that you have?" Without any hurt feelings, Madan Mohan Malviya said, "No, actually my questions have been answered." He was genuinely feeling like that. He did not feel hurt or anything. Then when he was walking past, he met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who asked him, "Oh, did he answer your questions?" He said, "No, but I have got the answers for my questions." So just by doing this one small service of cleaning the vessels which were used for cooking the bhoga for the Supreme Lord and subsequently serving the devotees, Janayatyashu Vairagyam Jnanam cha yad ahaitukam, he got the knowledge. And another time, I think it was Madan Mohan Malviya only who had visited Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, or maybe it was another great personality. So he had some questions, and Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur was walking around the Gaudiya Mutt, and he saw a gardener, one brahmachari who was doing gardening there. So he had all his hands and dhoti dirty with, the mud. And he said, look, even a gardener, he is not very much learned, but you ask him your questions, let's see if he can answer. So the Madan Mohan Malviya asked that gardener some very profound questions, and he was a complete illiterate. But he answered in such a profound way that Madan Mohan Malviya was shocked. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, Sevon mukehi jihvadao swayameva spuratyadaha. When one has a taste for serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all knowledge and realization automatically manifest. So in this way, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayatyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayad Ahaitukam. So then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that actually this person has so much taste for hearing from the mouth of his Guru, which was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur himself. So he said that, so therefore even though he is an illiterate, by that taste and trust in the Guru's words, he has developed all knowledge. Therefore literacy is not a prerequisite for knowing more. Actually it is trust in the words of the Guru and the Guru Sishya Parampara. Gurumukha Padmavakya Chittete Koriya Aikya Arana Koriho Mane Ash, Narottam Das Thakur says. So that is the key for understanding the scriptures. So now, what is that having rejected Vairagya, but at the same time we say that for beginning bhakti little bit of Vairagya is favorable. What kind of Vairagya is favorable? So Rupa Goswami says, Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatarham Upayunjataha Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagya Muchyate. He says, the Vairagya that is suitable for bhakti has three elements. We hear many times about Yukta Vairagya, Yukta Vairagya. So now we will try to understand what exactly is this Yukta Vairagya. He says the first element of Yukta Vairagya is Anasaktasya Vishayan. Anasaktasya Vishayan means one should not have an attachment for that particular object or service. Yatarham Upayunjataha. Yata Arham Upayunjataha means that usage of that object in that service should enhance one's devotional development. After performing that service, one should feel positively inspired in devotional service, bhakti. Then the third element is Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe means it should be persistently used only in Krishna's service. Otherwise it should not be used. So therefore, this Yukta Vairagya is actually, many times devotees feel dovetailing one's propensities is Yukta Vairagya. Actually this is not true. Yukta Vairagya is different. Actually bhakti can be practiced under three platforms. One is the platform of the lowest is the platform of dovetailing. Dovetailing one's propensities. We will discuss what these three are. The second is the platform of Yukta Vairagya. And the third is the platform of Bhava Bhakti or spontaneous devotional service. So we will try to understand what these three are. First is, the lowest is dovetailing. Dovetailing means I have some attachment. Like for example, if I have particular attachments, I like particular services, and if I perform those services because I like, is that outside the realm of devotional service? Sometimes people think, oh, that is Karma Mishra Bhakti. Like I remember once I was in a temple and one of the brahmacharis, he told me, Prabhuji, I know this particular devotee, he practices mixed devotional service. And I asked, why do you feel so? He said, Prabhuji, actually, he really likes to drive the car. And any other service he is not so enthusiastic, but any service that involves driving, he is very, very enthusiastic. I said, okay. So, isn't that mixed devotional service? I said, Aage kaho aar. You have not furnished complete information. Please tell me more about the devotee. How does he utilize that car? He said, Prabhuji, whenever a devotee wants to go to airport, even before that devotee, he will come and stand near the car so that he can drive that devotee to the airport. Okay, then whenever someone wants to go to the sabji market, he is there to drive that person. Okay. And then whenever someone wants to go to the railway station or anywhere else, he is there to drive that devotee. So then I said, oh, apart from these services, if no devotee wants to go out somewhere, does he take the car and just try to, take some passengers and earn some money out of it? Does he do that? He said, no, Prabhuji. Only when there is some need in the temple, then he takes. Then I said, this is not what is Karma Mishra Bhakti. Karma Mishra Bhakti is something very different. Or Karma Yoga is something very different. This person is dovetailing a particular propensity that he has, but purely only in relationship with those services which are related to Krishna consciousness. So dovetailing one's propensities is not outside the realm of pure devotional service. So, but having said that, this is not the highest platform of practicing devotional service. When he progresses little more and more on the path of devotional service, slowly these attachments will go away and that person will get attached to serving rather than serving in particular ways. So when he progresses more, he comes to the platform of Yukta Vairagya. So Yukta Vairagya means it has three components, as I said. Anasaktasya Vishayan. The person himself should not be attached to that particular service or object. So according to this first principle only, the previous devotee, he will not fall under Yukta Vairagya because he is attached to driving the car. Second is Yatarham Upayunjatah. After engaging that object or after engaging in that service, one should feel a positive nourishment in Krishna consciousness. One should feel nourished. This is the second principle of Yukta Vairagya. And the third principle is Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe. And that object should be persistently utilized only in Krishna's service. Actually, if you see, Yukta Vairagya is a very high level of devotional service. Not every object can be utilized in Krishna's service by sadhakas. Like for example, when we have a chamara. So a chamara, a devotee may not have any other utility of that chamara except for fanning the Supreme Lord. If he wants to fan himself, it's so cumbersome actually. It is much more easier to switch on the fan. You will get peaceful air through the fan. So therefore, anyone in Krishna consciousness may not find any utility in a chamara except for fanning the Lord. So which means, Anasaktasya Vishayan, I am not attached to the chamara. Yatarham Upayunjatah. And after engaging in fanning the Lord, one feels positive nourishment in Krishna consciousness. And Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe. Whenever the chamara is used, it is used only for Krishna's service. So in this way, chamara is fit for me to be utilized in Krishna's service. Which means chamara is fit in the category of Yukta Vairagya. Now let's take something different. What about the smartphone? So smartphone, someone may be very much attached to the smartphone. Someone was recently telling me that one devotee daughter, she was telling she was very much attached to the smartphone. And the parents took the phone away from her and she started fasting. 1 day, 2 days, almost the third day, she was fasting because she said, if you don't give me my smartphone, I will give up my life. So, this is not just for children, even for adults, that is becoming the case. So, there is intense asakti. Actually, we have to understand that these gadgets are made in such a way in order to literally make the users completely addicted and enslaved by that. So therefore, the asakti is there. So therefore, we cannot, therefore it does not fall within the category of Yukta Vairagya. So one may say, Prabhuji, it's okay, I am attached to it, but at least I can use it on the level of dovetailing. I have attachment, I will dovetail that attachment in Krishna's service. But then there are two other qualities. Yatarham upayunjatah. After utilizing that smartphone in whatever service, I must feel a positive encouragement in my devotional service. This is the second quality. Third quality is, whenever the smartphone is used, it must be utilized only in Krishna's service, not for sense gratification. Actually, if you see, all these three conditions are very difficult to follow in this day and age. Because ultimately it has been created as a weapon of mass distraction. So even when you open ISKCON Desire Tree also, some pop-up will come and distract. So therefore, because that is, if that distraction is not there, these people cannot make money. So therefore, in this day and age, to practice Yukta Vairagya is very difficult. Because all three conditions are very difficult to practice. If someone is sitting in front of the laptop or their smartphone for, let's say, 3, 4 hours, 5 hours, how many people are in this world who can guarantee that they will utilize it only for Krishna's service? Very difficult. So, and how many people can say that I am not at all attached? This moment you take it away. I don't mind. I don't care. Can people say that? Anasaktasya Vishayan. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe. Use it only in Krishna's service. And Yatarham Upayanjatah. At the end of it, after 3, 4 hours of holding the smartphone, I feel I am one step closer to Krishna Prem. Like that do we feel? So therefore, we have to be careful to choose those objects which can be utilized in Krishna's service without our getting attached to it, and those objects which can be utilized only in Krishna's service. There is no scope for utilizing it for our own sense gratification. This is Yukta Vairagya. Otherwise, even if we are attached to particular objects, particular gadgets, particular services, at least ensure that that object or gadget or service is used only in Krishna's service. So therefore, this is very, very important. This is the second level, Yukta Vairagya. Actually, Yukta Vairagya is not dovetailing. Yukta Vairagya is much higher than dovetailing. Then the highest level is spontaneous devotional service. The person cannot think of anything other than Krishna, anything other than pleasing Krishna. Whether that any object is there or not doesn't matter. The person is completely absorbed in only pleasing Krishna. So that is the highest level. But the means of reaching that level is to practice Yukta Vairagya. Ramananda Rai could train those Devadasis. And if you read the description from Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's very, very bewildering description. Even a great devotee like Pradyumna Mishra got completely bewildered. How could Ramananda Rai do this? And he had come all the way to hear Krishna Katha from Ramananda Rai. He just walked away. He didn't hear any Krishna Katha from him. Because Ramananda Rai was training the Devadasis, he was literally massaging them and whatnot. And we can't even think about it. We should not even think about it. It will just, even if we try to imagine it for a second, our mind will be completely contaminated. But Ramananda Rai was on the level of spontaneous devotional service. He could not think of anything other than pleasing Krishna. So he was not on the level of even Yukta Vairagya. He was much higher than Yukta Vairagya. Like Prabhupada used to say, Swamiji, can you show me a magic? And Prabhupada said, you take me into a room with 100 naked women, I will never get agitated. That is real magic actually. Anasaktasya vishayan yatarham upayunjatah nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. So, Prabhupada was on the level of spontaneous devotional service. Everything he could utilize in Krishna's service, just like Ramananda Rai. But we have to see which are the objects which we can utilize in Krishna's service without getting distracted. That will fall within the category of Yukta Vairagya for us. Certain things we may be extremely attached and we need to utilize, and we may be forced to utilize it, but at least we have to ensure that it is utilized in Krishna's service only. Just like this devotee who liked to drive the car. Fine, drive it. It may not be Yukta Vairagya, but dovetail it in Krishna's service. But it has to be dovetailed in Krishna's service and not in our own gratification. So in this way, three categories of serving the Supreme Lord, practicing bhakti. The level of dovetailing is the lowest, and when that person progresses, he comes to the level of Yukta Vairagya, and then when he still progresses, he comes to the level of spontaneous devotional service, like that. So this kind of Vairagya is favorable for bhakti, because generally Vairagya says no, 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 but Yukta Vairagya says yes, I will utilize it for Krishna's service. So there is engagement of senses in the objects, but for Krishna's pleasure. Therefore it is called as Vairagya. So this kind of Vairagya does not make the heart hard. Like we saw yesterday, the example of a father purchasing ice cream. So he may be purchasing ice cream for his son. A father may be diabetic. His son may ask for ice cream. He may purchase the ice cream. So, and he will give it to his son. Even though he may like ice cream, he may give it to his son. So, by purchasing something that he likes and giving it to his son is actually Vairagya. But that Vairagya will not make the heart hard. It will make the heart soft. How? Because in giving that ice cream to his son, he will receive affection from his son in return, and that affection will pacify the heart and make the heart soft. Similarly, when we take an object, utilize it in Krishna's service, we might have as well used it for our own gratification, but by using it in Krishna's service, Krishna will be pleased and we will be experiencing the affection of Krishna in return that will make the heart soft. So this kind of vairagya is favorable for bhakti. This is called as yukta vairagya. So therefore, we have to ask 3 questions before finding out whether this object is meant for my, should I use this object in serving Krishna or not. First thing is, do you really need it? Second question is, will you use it only in Krishna's service? And third question is, after using it, are you feeling positively inspired in Krishna consciousness? So if the answer is yes for all these 3 questions, then that object you can happily use it in Krishna's service, and that is considered yukta vairagya. Do you really need it? Can you use it only in Krishna's service? And after using it, are you feeling inspired in Krishna's service? Positive encouragement. Then that object is good enough to be utilized in Krishna's service as yukta vairagya. With this verse, the author shows the type of vairagya which is suitable for entering bhakti. This kind of vairagya is good. It will make the heart soft. The vairagya of the person employing material objects only to the extent that they are favorable for his devotional development. Only to the extent that is favorable for his devotional development, only that much he has to use. While being detached from material enjoyment, that is yukta vairagya, suitable vairagya that is suitable for bhakti. In this, there should be persistence in relating the objects to Krishna. Every moment it is used, it should be used in Krishna. Like that. But we have to understand, in today's day and age, the objects are made in such a way that it will push you in the direction of sense gratification. So therefore, it is like using, really sharp sword. If you are not careful, it will cut us severely. Internet, smartphones, all these gadgets, we are not careful because they have been designed to make us addict. That is how it has been designed. Social media, addict. So we can't, yugayitam nimeshena, not a single minute can go without our checking our WhatsApp messages. That's how that's how it has been created. So therefore, we have to be careful and keep on asking these 3 questions. When we are utilizing something in the name of Krishna's service, we may be convinced that I am using it for Krishna's service, but we have to ask, can we consistently use it only for Krishna's service? Can I, after utilizing it, am I feeling inspired in my devotional service, or am I feeling far away from Krishna because my mind is filled with other desires? So these are the questions we should keep on asking Krishna. Asking ourselves actually. On the other hand, dry vairagya is also bad. What is dry vairagya? Vairagya which is unfavorable for bhakti, which can make the heart hard. Rupa Goswami says, prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastunah mumukshubhi parityago vairagyam falgu katyate. So he says, prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastuna. There are many objects which can be potentially used in Krishna's service. But this mumukshu means one who is after liberation, which means the jnani. The jnani does not want to do anything with this material world. Like we give this example of a karmi, jnani and a bhakta. When a karmi sees a 10 rupee or a 100 rupee note on the road, he will silently pick it up and put it in his pocket and walk away. That is karmi. Anything he sees, he thinks it is meant for my enjoyment. The jnani, he is completely detached from this world. And he cannot attach anything to Krishna also. So that is like a jnani, when he walks on the road, he will see a 100 rupee note, he will just walk past it. It's not mine. Whereas a devotee, when he finds a 100 rupee note, he will pick it up and try to find the person to whom it belongs to, and he will hand it over to him. And ultimately, Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. Everything in this world belongs to Krishna. So therefore, a devotee tries to utilize everything in service of Krishna. And in that there is Deshakala Patra considerations. He sees, oh, I know that internet ultimately is meant for utilizing in Krishna's service, but he will see, am I fit to utilize internet in Krishna's service? Ultimately, every gadget is meant to be utilized in Krishna's service, but am I fit to utilize this gadget in Krishna's service? That he will see. Otherwise, a devotee has no doubt, microphone can be utilized in Krishna's service, YouTube can be utilized in Krishna's service. Why not? The best of the best phones, cameras, they can be utilized in Krishna's service. The only question we need to ask is, am I fit to utilize it in Krishna's service? Am I the right person? So this is something that we need to ask ourselves. But the jnani, what he does? Prapanchikataya buddhya. Prapancha means this material world. Prapanchikataya buddhya means the jnani thinks, oh, this is material. If I use it, I will get trapped in this material world. Oh, this is material. Fan, material. Laptop, material. Chamara, material. Ultimately, it is made of yak tail only, material. I will be bound, I will be bound. Prapanchikataya buddhya harisambandhi vastunah. It's a harisambandhi vastu. It has utility in Krishna's service. But the jnani is completely self-absorbed. All that matters to him is how I can escape this material world. So therefore he says, I will not use my senses. So a jnani does not want to utilize his senses. Therefore he rejects everything of this world, not seeing its utility in Krishna's service. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe. He does not see that Krishna Sambandha. And therefore he thinks, Prapanchikataya, oh, this is just material. And he rejects it. So this is called as Falgu Vairagya. Falgu Vairagya means useless Vairagya. This kind of Vairagya will make the heart hard. And a person who practices this kind of Vairagya can never progress in Bhakti. So one should also understand what type of Vairagya is unsuitable or useless for Bhakti. The author thus speaks of Vairagya of those opposed to the Lord, which ends in offense. Like I remember when I was in boarding school, we had how this kind of an attitude is a very deep-rooted attitude. Attitudes can be very deep-rooted. I just remembered, we had one of our friends, and you can't, I have to be honest, I can't call him a friend, but still, he used to stay with us. Fellow student, I can call him. So he used to, in our hostel, monthly once parents were allowed to visit their children. monthly once. And because his parents stayed close by, every month literally his parents would come, second Sunday. But other people like me, like myself, my parents hardly visited me when I was in school for 5 years, because they were both working and they were living quite far away. So every month we used to eagerly await the second Sunday, because all of us were bored with the food cooked in our mess. No one likes mess food. Some change you need. So second Sunday everyone is waiting, and so that the parents who would be visiting the children, they would bring some nice eatables so that we can eat. So this one person whose parents used to visit every second Sunday, parents used to bring really high quality, not prasadam, but high quality foodstuffs, really, and in good quantity. And this person was an absolute sadist. And I can't believe how at such a young age people could develop such sadistic mentality. So the whole hostel used to come and surround him, hoping that we will get a glance of mercy and something to eat. So he used to sit on his bed, and right next to his bed was a window, and outside his window was a gutter, like a nali. So he used to do it in such a dramatic way. He used to take out all his food, keep outside, open one packet slowly, and then he used to look at it. And he say, "Oh, what is this? Chakli. Oh, I don't like chakli." And people used to think, "Oh, wonderful, you just give it to us, we will eat." He used to take it and throw it in the gutter. "I don't like it." Throw it. Even though he likes it, but he was getting more pleasure, sadistic pleasure, in torturing other children. Then he used to open the next packet. "Oh, what is this? Mixture. I don't like this." And then full packet mixture with lot of kaju and all that in that, he used to throw it in the gutter. Like this. Some 10, 12 students used to get together and beat the hell out of him actually. We used to beat him like anything. Such a sadistic mentality. So this is a jnani actually. I don't like it. I don't want to suffer. That's all matters. Why this? You don't utilize it, but Krishna has a utility. Can't you utilize it in Krishna's service? I don't care about Krishna. Like this boy. Oh, you don't like it, but so many other people can eat it. But how does that matter to me? I don't like it. My parents brought it. I will throw it away. He used to throw it away like that. So this is a jnani. Hari Sambandhi Vastu, but he can't see that it has a utility in Krishna's service. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhi. The author speaks thus of vairagya of those opposed to the Lord, which ends in offense. So just like this person, it ends in offense. And the result of offense is nice beating. So every second Sunday, he used to get nicely beaten up. But still, he would end up doing the same thing again, because that sadistic happiness was so joyful for him. So, Hari Sambandhi Vastu refers to things such as the Lord's food remnants. So, even Lord's food remnants. Oh, cholesterol. Okay, it is cholesterol, but it is the Supreme Lord's remnants. Take one small bit of it. So, I would rather eat unoffered salad than offered bhoga of the Supreme Lord. So this is, if one rejects the bhoga offered to the Supreme Lord, that is a big offense. Rejection of objects related to the Lord is of two types. Two types of rejection. First is not asking for those objects related to the Lord and rejecting them when offered. So, not asking for those objects which are related to the Lord. Oh, this is prasadam, please give it to me. And when it comes on its own, O God, if you reject it, that is also an offense. One should understand that the second type of rejection becomes an offense. When offered and you reject it, big offense. So he quotes in a verse from the Hari Bhakti Vilas, where Sanatana Goswami quotes it from another book called Vishnu Yamala. Prasada agrahanam Vishnor varjayed Vaishnava sada. The Vaishnava should never refuse the prasad of Vishnu. At least a token amount should be taken. Because it is mercy of the Supreme Lord. How can you say no to the mercy of the Supreme Lord? So in this way, he describes the two kinds of Vairagya, Yukta Vairagya and Falgu Vairagya, how one is favorable for progressing in Bhakti and the other is very unfavorable. Then the next theme that we will discuss now, we have discussed that Varnashram duties are not limbs of Bhakti, Jnana and Vairagya are not limbs of Bhakti. There are other prominent practices which may sound very pious, but they are not limbs of Bhakti. What are they? Srila Rupa Goswami says, Dana Shishyadi Birdwarair Ya Bhaktir Upapadyate Viduratvad Uttamata Hanya Tasyascha Nangata. He says, Ya Bhakti, that Bhakti, Dana Shishyadibir Dwarair Upapadyate. That Bhakti which is accomplished by dependence on wealth, followers or other objects. So if one thinks that, oh, if this person stops donating to me, then I cannot practice devotional service. If one thinks like that, then that kind of bhakti is not Uttama Bhakti. Na angata, it is not an anga of Uttama Bhakti. Tasyaha uttamata hanyaha, because it destroys the pure nature of that bhakti. Viduratvad, and it is stated far away, it is situated far away from Uttama Bhakti. Because agreed that one may not be able to perform very high quality deity worship without donation. But one can chant, one can read, one can remember, one can share Krishna Katha with others. These are limbs which does not need much money, or some limbs don't need any money at all. So therefore, if one thinks that I cannot practice my devotional service, if I don't have some facilities or things like that, then that kind of bhakti is not Uttama Bhakti. Bhakti accomplished through wealth and followers indicates this negligence or inattentiveness. Such execution cannot be accepted as an anga of Uttama Bhakti. Among the angas of Bhakti, wealth and the other items are generally not needed for hearing and chanting. For hearing and chanting, we don't need any wealth. The excellence of bhakti is destroyed when it depends on wealth and followers. For instance, in deity worship, one person may feel that he cannot perform all the services for the deity at once by himself and thus depend on followers. So for particular deity worship needs, one may need some wealth. But one cannot say that I cannot perform any bhakti. Chanting, hearing does not need any amount of wealth. So therefore, one should not feel that I cannot practice bhakti if particular amount of wealth or donation is not there. Then that kind of bhakti is not considered as pure devotional service. Then he continues, Visheshanatva Angatvam evaisham samshrayantyadikarinam vivekadinyato misham api nangatvam uchyate. Viveka adini ato amisham api. Discrimination, intelligence and other such qualities na angatvam uchyate. You cannot say that a person passed out of Indian Institute of Technology is very, very qualified. He will just run on the path of bhakti. Not necessary. Oh, he is not very much educated at all. His progress in bhakti will be very slow. Not true. We have seen in the ashram, there are examples for both. There have been very, very advanced devotees who have passed out from Indian Institute of Technology also, and from the uneducated background also. At the same time, we have had not so, at least apparently exalted people passed out of Indian Institute of Technology also, and also, uneducated. So therefore, one should not think that oh, he is very intelligent, he can be a great devotee. That is not true. So discrimination and other material qualities cannot be considered as angas of Uttama Bhakti, but rather yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvair gunais tatra samasate sura. So all the good qualities automatically manifest in a person who practices bhakti. Yesham samshrayanti adhikarinam visheshenatvam. So since on their own these qualities take shelter of those persons practicing Uttama Bhakti in a very excellent way, they take shelter. Tadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te, Krishna says. Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. For one who is engaged in lovingly serving me, I give him all intelligence to attain me. So therefore, intelligence is not a prerequisite. High quality intelligence is not a prerequisite for bhakti. Faith is prerequisite. So therefore, the next theme that he discusses is rather all the good qualities automatically take shelter of a devotee. Krishnonmukam swayam yanti yamaha shauchadayastata ityesham cha nayukta syat bhaktyang angantara patita. Basic rules of conduct such as yama, niyama, cleanliness, shaucham, satyam, daya, tapas, shaucham and so on. Krishnonmukam swayam yanti. If a person is inclined to worship the Supreme Lord, swayam yanti, they automatically develop in a person. Ityesham bhakti anga antara patita nasyad. Therefore, they are not included as angas of bhakti. So, like that. So, when one is very clean, that does not mean he will automatically progress in bhakti. But if one progresses in bhakti, automatically one develops the qualities of cleanliness and other such qualities. Because as a result of the desire to please Krishna, one tries to be very clean. So therefore they cannot be considered as limbs of devotional service. He quotes a verse from the 11th canto Uddhav Gita. Ahimsa satyam asteyam asango hrir asanchayah astikyam brahmacharyam cha maunam stairyam kshama bhayam. So these are the 12 primary disciplinary principles. Should the devotees in whom the good so then the question arises, what about those people in whom these devotees, these qualities are not readily visible? Should they be considered to be non-devotees? So here he says, this verse says, Krishnonmukam Swayam Yanti. Krishna Utkrishta Mukam, which means those who are extremely dedicated to Krishna. So in them automatically the good qualities develop. Which means when one reaches the stage of dedicated attachment to Krishna, Nishtha, Ruchi, those stages. So at the stage of Anartha Nivritti, that level of attachment may not be there, but nevertheless, gradually those qualities will develop. But for one who has reached the stage of Krishnonmukam, Krishna Utkrishta Mukam, a determined, dedicated attachment for Krishna, for them the qualities spontaneously appear. Swayam Yanti. But for others, gradually it will develop. One need not worry about it. He quotes a verse from the Skanda Puran. Yetena hyadbhuta vyada tava himsadayo gunaha haribhaktau pravrittaye natesyu paratapinah. O vyada, o hunter, yete ahimsadayo gunaha, these qualities of ahimsa and all these wonderful qualities, nahi adbhuta, I am not astonished that I am seeing these qualities in a hunter like you. Why? Haribhaktau pravrittaye natesyu paratapinah. Because those who are engaged in performing Haribhakti, they will not be interested in giving trouble to others. So therefore, in Padma Puran, this particular personality is telling to the hunter that despite being a hunter, you are so non-violent. And I am not surprised that you are showing this quality, because we know that those who are engaged in devotional service to the Supreme Lord will never cause harm to others. Krishnonmukam Swayam Yanti. Another verse he quotes from the Skanda Puran. Antashuddhi bahishuddhis tapashantyadayastata amiguna prapadyante hari seva abhikaminam. Antashuddhi, internal purity. Bahishuddhi, external purity. Tapaha, austerity. Shanti, peace. Peacefulness. Adaya, etc. All these other good qualities. Ami gunaha, all these qualities. Hari seva bikaminam prapadyante. They take full shelter of that person who is inclined to serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, Krishnonmukam Swayam Yanti. Like that. They naturally manifest in a person who has deep attachment for serving Krishna. Finally, the last topic of this course. Here, Srila Rupa Goswami says, one can perfect the path of bhakti by predominantly practicing one limb or many limbs. Bhakti can be eka anga or aneka anga. Srila Rupa Goswami says, sa bhaktireva mukhyanga shrita naikangika tava swavasananusarena nishtha tassiddhi krit bhavet. He says, sa bhakti, that bhakti, eka mukhya anga shritaha, may take shelter of one primary limb, na ekangi katava, or it may take shelter of many prominent limbs. And what is the basis of a person to choose a particular limb of bhakti? Oh, he likes deity worship a lot. Maybe in the spiritual world, he must be engaged in personally serving their lordships. Not necessarily. Rupa Goswami demystifies this whole thing. He says, Swavasana anusarena. Swavasana anusarena means one chooses a particular limb of bhakti according to one's desire. according to one's experience in life. That is why we see those who have a very natural music talent, they naturally get attracted to Kirtanam. And those who are very artistically endowed, generally I have seen in last so many years, in many devotees, those who are very artistically inclined, they generally get very much attached to deity worship, because there is lot of scope for expressing that artistic nature. So therefore Rupa Goswami says attraction to particular limbs of devotional service is due to one's own desires, material desires. Svavasana anusarena. Nishtataha siddhikrit bhavet. And practiced with steadiness brings about the desired result of bhava and prema. Like that. So finally he concludes by indicating how each one of the limb was perfected by different people. He quotes this famous verse from the Padyavali of Srila Rupa Goswami. Padyavali is a compilation, and Rupa Goswami, it must have been compiled by some other poet. Shri Vishnu Shravane Parikshidabhavad Vaiyasaki Kirtane Prahlada Smarane Tadangri Bhajane Lakshmi Pritupujane Akrorastvabhivandane Kapipatir Dasyeta Sakya Arjuna Sarvasvat Manivedane Balirabhut Krishnaptiresham Param. Shri Vishnu Shravane Parikshidabhavad. Parikshit Maharaj perfected the path of bhakti predominantly by hearing. Vaiyasaki Kirtane. Vaiyasaki means the son of Vyasadeva, Shukadeva Goswami. Kirtane, by chanting the glories of the Lord. Prahlada Smarane. Prahlad Maharaj by remembering the Supreme Lord. Tadangri Bhajane Lakshmihi. Mother Lakshmi by serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Prutu Pujane, and Prutu Maharaj by Archanam. Akrurastvabi Vandane, and Akrura by offering prayers to the Lord. Kapipatir Dasye, Kapipati is Hanumanji by Dasyam. Ata Sakya Arjune, and Arjuna through Sakyam. Sarvasvatma Nivedane Balirabhut, and by Atma Nivedanam, by surrendering everything that one has, Bali Maharaj achieved perfection. Krishnapti Resham Param, and all of them attained Krishna by predominantly perfecting one of these limbs. But the example of Ambarish Maharaj is given, who practiced many limbs, Aneka Anga Bhakti, to perfect his life. Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayor Vacham Sivai Kunta Gunanu Varnane Karau Harer Mandira Marjanadishu Shrutim Chakara Chuta Satkatodaye Mukundalinga Laya Darshane Drishau Tadbritya Gatra Sparshenga Sangamam Granam Chatatpada Saroja Saurabe Shrimat Tulasya Rasanam Chadarpite Padau Hare Kshetra Padanu Sarpane Shiro Rishikesha Padabi Vandane Kamam Chadasye Natu Kama Kamaya Kamyaya Yato Tamashloka Janashraya Ratihi. It is mentioned about Ambarish Maharaj, how he perfected his practice of bhakti through all these limbs. Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayor. His mind was utilized in the service of Krishna by remembering the lotus feet of Krishna. Vachamsi Vaikunta Guna Anuvarnane. His ability of voice was used in glorifying the qualities of Krishna. Karau Harer Mandira Marjanadishu. His hands were used in cleansing the temple of the Lord. Shrutim Chakara Achyuta Satkatode. And the ears were used in hearing Achyuta Katha. Mukunda Linga Alaya Darshane Drishau. His eyes were utilized in taking darshan of the Lord. Tad Britya Gatra Sparshe Anga Sangamam. His sense of touch was utilized in embracing the devotees of the Lord. Ghranam cha tatpada saroja saurabe Shrimat Tulasya. Ghranam cha tatpada saroja saurabe Shrimat Tulasya. And his nose was serving by smelling the tulsi leaves that were offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. Rasanam tadarpite. And tongue was engaged in honoring that foodstuffs which are offered to the Supreme Lord. Padau hare kshetra padanu sarpane. His legs were utilized in walking towards the temple of the Lord. Shiro rishikesha padabi vandane. And his head was utilized in offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord. Kamam cha dasye. Whatever desire he had was utilized only in serving the Lord. Natu kama kamyaya, and not for one's own sense gratification. And why was he utilizing all his senses in Krishna's service in this way? Yata uttama shloka jana ashraya ratihi. So that he can get that same kind of love that the uttama shloka jana, the other great devotees they had for Krishna. Ambarish Maharaj desired that same love. Actually, Ambarish Maharaj already had that same love. Out of humility, he was thinking that others have and I don't have. That is the nature of prema. One who has can never find it. And one who thinks he has does not have it. That is the nature of prema. How can I know that I have prema? You cannot know. Because when you have it, you will think that you don't have. And the person who thinks I have actually does not have. So, therefore, in this way, we come to the end of this course. It has been a long course, and you all have been such patient listeners. My respectful obeisances to all of you. Thank you very much for your patient listening. It has been a very wonderful experience sharing this subject matter with you. As I told, your response has been the main reason why I decided to not continue it as a summary study. I decided to do it little elaborately, seeing the overwhelming response from all of you. So I would like to congratulate all of you for sticking on to hearing the whole series. It was a very, very wonderful experience. So thank you very much. Hoping to meet you tomorrow for the last question answer session. So we will end today's session, and tomorrow we will end the course with the question answer session. But please look out for the sequel courses. Next will be a course on Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, which we will launch very soon. So please stay tuned, and if you like this course, you will like the next course better. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. Shri Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu ki jai. Hare Krishna.